It's time for the main event. Here comes the breakdown. Act 1, the setup.
Our journey of mediocrity starts with over-the-top spy music, which makes sense since this is a spy thriller. No, wait, it's a heist movie. And there are 2 heists that take up like 5 minutes of screen time. So it's mostly about him tracking down his daughter.
Yeah.
So why is there spy music every fucking second?
How else will you feel tense? It's a thriller.
It's like the opening credits, like set it up as if like we're about to watch Enemy of the State or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, it starts with a drunk guy horribly singing Neil Diamond in the bustling streets of New Orleans at 4 a.m. Completely empty. Which, if you've been to New Orleans, is probably not realistic, honestly. He stops to take a piss on a pillar and is startled to see he's pissing on the shoes of some FBI guy who just kind of lets him do it for a few seconds, since I guess it's his kink. I don't know. We see that the bank is being watched by a large crew of FBI agents who I think just raided that International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C. They have like every gadget you can imagine for no good reason.
To catch 4 people.
Yeah.
Who don't even have weapons.
Yeah. This guy is a crack bank robber that just, he's the greatest of all time. They're apparently listening to every audio signal in the area and suddenly hear Creedence Clearwater Revival, which is the music Nick's character, Will Montgomery, uses to psych himself out before every prank robbery. Or robbery in general. Yeah.
And
I wish it was.
Or everything, Get ready to go to the grocery store. He's got to hype himself up. CCR.
Born on the bayou. All right, let's go get some potatoes.
All right, let's go. The head of this unit, Agent Harland, and his right-hand man, I guess, Fletcher, say they have intelligence that Montgomery is planning a heist on this block and recognize his MO of playing CCR before he does a job.
No one in Louisiana plays CCR.
Yeah. And why would his microphone just be open and broadcasting this entire time?
Well, I mean, I think they're just like picking up on who's listening to things in the area.
Right.
Like they're just
that's a tech that exists.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there is tech out there like that, but
there's nobody else listening to anything in the entire 4-block radius. Yeah. Again, it's New Orleans. This isn't like, Biloxi or something.
That's another movie.
That's 2 other
It's already off to a great start. We see Will and his partners in crime, Vincent, who somehow has a more punchable face than all of the bad guys in both Ghost Riders movies combined, and Riley Poole. No, wait, Riley Jeffers. Equally charming, equally sexy.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get back to National Treasure. Get to talk about Riley Poole some more.
Get to see that twink again.
We see National Treasure 3 and he's like a fat old man. That's probably what's going to be interesting.
I lost all my Dogecoin.
Vincent is a complete asshole from the jump and is annoyed that they have to sit through John Fogerty tearing it up on a harmonica before pulling every job, and asks, do we have to sit through the whole 7 minutes and 40 seconds of this song? And Will
I'd rather
asks,
do that than sit through 7 minutes and 40 seconds of Stolen.
And Will asks why he insists on asking that every single time. Already just killing it in the dialogue department. Vincent says he doesn't want to fluck with the formula, but maybe they can at least pick a different band. What bands do you think Vince listens to? This Vince in the
Papa
movie, not
Roach.
you, Vince. Papa Roach.
Yeah, I do. A little Papa Roach, some
A little
Limp Bizkit,
POD.
probably.
Limp Bizkit.
Oh yeah, some Puddle of Mud too. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
some Mudvayne.
Let's get ready for the robbery. Let the bodies hit the floor. I mean, based on what happens in this next scene, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, he probably does listen to that song.
Will gets a call from his daughter and switches from notorious thief to full obnoxious over-the-top dad mode, which also pisses off Vincent since he's just straight up sucks in every scene of this entire movie. It's clear Will and his daughter have a great relationship, unlike later in the film, and he's stoked to get home later to see her. And why she's calling him at 4 a.m., because that's when they're doing this job. I'm not really sure, but I guess that makes sense with kids, you know.
And she says she's like 7, I think.
Yeah.
To imply that she's like 7 at this. So what's 7-year-olds getting up at 4?
4 to call their dad.
Freaking Zoomers.
The whole time, Vincent stares at him, prompting Will to say,
"When I get home, I'm gonna make you those happy face pancakes that you like so much, okay?"
like the cagiest moment of the whole film.
Yeah.
While he tries to get Vince to fuck off. So I'm going to make the happy face pancakes. Whatever. However that goes. I've already forgotten how the movie...
I don't even remember that line at all.
Now you guys know how
forgotten
I
the
feel
whole
watching
movie.
Arsenal. That movie I watched it and then gone.
Gone.
Instantly gone from my fucking memory.
Will says Vince wouldn't understand what it's like to have a kid and says Hoyt, their actual version of Riley Poole / electrical expert, I guess, is 4 minutes late. And Will decides that they should abort the robbery. If only. Movie would have been over. Vince freaks out and says Hoyt is probably just taking a dump. And that this is an Ace Boone swipe. Did the bank robbers really talk like this? Mm-hmm. The thieves really call things Ace Boone swipes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, Vince calls Will Gum, since I guess that's his nickname for Montgomery. I mean, how else will we know that they've been friends for a long time if he didn't call him Gum? He's Montgomery, so he's Gum.
Yeah. Which is weird because they call him Gum, but in the subtitles it looks like Gum because it's the Gum and Montgomery. So it's like,
yeah,
whatever.
Though in my version, the subtitles do say GUM, so that's weird.
I watched it on
YouTube?
Peacock. No, Peacock.
On Peacock.
Ooh.
So, but I think they were automated because there were some times when it said inaudible as the subtitles, but like you could clearly hear what was going on, but the algorithm couldn't tell. I don't know.
I paid for the spectacular Blu-ray quality of this film. Hoyt, who I am sure you'll recognize as MC Gainey, who played Swamp Thing in Simon West and Nick's last movie, Con Air, chimes in from their walkie and calls himself Diamond Dog, which was Ving Rhames' character's name in that movie. Definitely a intentional callback. Mm-hmm. He says he's in the mainframe and cuts the camera and alarm feeds while the FBI listen to their every move. It does track, like later on, he's the one who sets up all the tech for, I forgot his fucking character, Vince.
Yeah.
It's so forgettable. I just forgot his name. He sets up all of the tech for Vince's character's, whole grand scheme in the second half of the movie. Fucking. So he is a electrical expert, I guess. How he ended up living in that shitty, dilapidated apartment he lives in.
Right. Yeah.
They pull up to a diamond exchange. Vince and Gum head to the front door of a toy store while Riley stays in the van. Will picks the lock while the FBI watch him through predator vision, and he and Vince head inside. Riley leaves in the van to a nearby basement to meet up with Hoyt, while Vince and Will blow a hole through the wall of the toy store, seemingly to the diamond exchange, which is next door. And the FBI prepare to move in, while Harlan says, "That's too easy, and this crack crew doesn't do too easy." He straight up sucks, too. I hate this character. Him and Fletcher, I fucking hate him.
I don't think I've ever seen that actor in anything that I've liked him. Like
Danny Houston or...
Yeah, Harlan, whoever Harlan is.
Yeah, Danny Houston. Angelica Houston's brother. I mean... Angelica Houston, Danny Houston.
Not everybody could be the Franco brothers.
Meanwhile, Swamp Thing and Riley argue about Hoyt telling Vince and Will to head towards the Moose Knuckle, which is apparently down some stairs or something. That's where he was telling them to go. And she's mad about him comparing everything to a vagina, so he just straight up says,
Vagina.
we're like 2 minutes into this movie. Will and Vince make their way to a bank vault, which, diamond exchanges aren't known to have. Will opens it in seconds flat, and the FBI move in while Mark Isham reuses a score from something much more dramatic than what's actually happening on screen.
Come on, Gum. Master at work.
Seems to have had a blast making music for this thing. Making music for a movie that was in his head, because almost none of the music fits anything that's happening. We see Will cracking the safe while the FBI wait on the other side of the door, which looks exactly the same as the one on the other side of the bank vault. But of course, the FBI is in the diamond exchange while the whole time the crew has been robbing the bank across the street. Almost Thomas Jane says the crew has been casing this diamond exchange for weeks, so it doesn't make sense that they're not in there, which we know by some obviously too high of resolution to be surveillance photos that they look at. So they knew that the FBI was watching them, I guess, this entire time, so they went and cased the diamond exchange to throw them off the scent. Which seems stupid because they're like a block away from the diamond exchange.
Which they're watching them go into the toy store. I don't understand.
I thought they were casing it because that's how they planned on getting into the bank. So they were trying to figure out the ebbs and flows on how to get in there.
They never really went into the diamond exchange at all.
Yeah, I thought they were casing the diamond joint to throw the FBI off, but then the FBI watches them go into the toy store, which is presumably next to the bank, not the diamond exchange, or is it next to the diamond exchange?
It's next to the diamond exchange, but then they go down underneath the bank.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, they go into like a stairwell
to the bank. Yeah.
I mean, it's just to make it seem like they're geniuses.
Why didn't they just bust them when they went into the toy store? They watched them go into the toy store.
Because they have to catch them in the act of stealing the diamonds for them.
But they know that they're the ones that have stolen from other places.
Right, but they have to catch them.
They have to catch them with.
They do have to catch them with
the money.
But that's why
if they catch them breaking and entering into the toy store, they can also then charge them with other stuff that they have them on from robbing other places.
But they'd have to have proof that they actually robbed those places. They have to.
I'm sure they do because they're tracking them.
I mean, they tracked them here, but they didn't.
They've just been trying to catch them.
Yeah. They have to catch them with the money that they stole,
right?
For
this job, but
for any job,
yeah.
Because they can't pin those on them, it would never hold up in court because they don't have the evidence.
They have to have circumstantial evidence, yeah.
But they have enough evidence to have an entire. I mean, we're way thinking way too hard about this. That was one of my questions that I just want to get into now because it's organic.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Which we see coming up here. He burns the money, so he gets less time. Like breaking and entering is one thing, but if you're caught with the money or the diamonds or whatever you steal, that's a whole nother charge. So that's why he burns the money in this scene.
But also destroying money is a crime too.
Right, but they can't prove that he had the money.
Yeah, they can't prove that he ever had it.
A bunch of homeless guys had it and then threw it in the burn bin.
Yes. Those guys stole it, man.
They stole it.
Harlan yells for his men to head to the toy store, which isn't as fun as it sounds. Vince and Gum make it inside the vault, and Vince ogles a huge stack of gold bars while saying,
You know I like bright, shiny things, Gum. This is the ultimate bright, shiny thing.
While he's shaking the fence, and apparently guards like millions of dollars in gold.
Yeah,
like
why is that? Yeah, that's another one of my couple of questions.
Yeah,
why is there so much fucking gold in this bank? Like,
and why does it never move locations in 8 years?
like
Even
why is
after
that
they
amount
were
of gold not in
stolen?
Gold Fort Knox or wherever they actually have that much gold?
Do banks even hold gold anymore?
I don't
I
think
can't
so.
imagine them holding that much.
I don't think
We're also
keep it ever
talking
since
about
it was switched
New
away from the
Orleans.
gold.
Like the amount of gold that humans have found total ever in history of the planet is like enough to fill a swimming pool, Olympic-sized swimming pool. So that was a substantial amount of gold just in this random bank in New Orleans.
Nah, yeah.
It's just, at a certain point, you just got to like suspend your disbelief through this
It's cinema.
POS. Will loads up $10 million worth of cash into a duffel bag and says that the gold weighs too much and they can't carry it out. To which Vince says,
I played football.
while making crazy eyes at the gold. Already hate this movie. Outside, Harlan realizes they have the wrong block and that the crew is actually robbing the bank. Vince and Will run to an alleyway behind the bank that I guess the FBI forgot to cover when they raced over in their 20 cars. It's just all pull up to the front door. The FBI rip off the front doors of the bank with an armored truck. It's the only way you can do that. And run inside while Vince and Will make it outside where they are greeted by a guy dumping trash out of his station wagon or something.
That's illegal.
I'm not sure if it was supposed to be obvious, but this guy is a janitor, which we find out 95 minutes from now.
I thought he was just illegally dumping.
He's not wearing a janitor outfit. He's dumping shit out of a station wagon. How the fuck were we supposed to figure that out, movie? What are you talking about?
If only there was some other easy way to quickly communicate that a character on screen is a janitor. Like
Exactly.
Give them some kind of implement to hold in their hand or something.
A broomstick.
Yeah.
Anything.
Maybe a dead animatronics head.
That would be
He's just
amazing.
playing pinball in the alley.
Yeah, he's just out there playing pinball.
Drinking those energy drinks the whole time.
Punch energy or whatever.
I ain't going back to prison, Gone. We got to shoot this weirdo.
He's not talking.
He's dancing. Why has he got duct tape on his face?
They don't have Band-Aids here. Anyways.
Willy's Wonderland.
He asks, "What you young fellas doing?" when he sees them, and Vince pistol whips the guy in the face. They could have just run by him. Like, you never would have been able to identify him.
Yeah.
Vince, the seasoned all-star robber, who has apparently been pulling jobs with Will for 14 years, says he saw our faces. So he decides to kill the guy, while Will tells him, no homicide.
Only
No,
they could
no
cover
homicide.
their faces with
Yeah,
something.
I know. That's why, like,
to do
that's
this crack job.
my
pantyhose.
one of my main Coppola questions is, why the fuck didn't they wear disguises for this?
Yeah.
I mean, there are cameras still in all of these fucking places, all over the place.
Yeah.
Even if they cut the feed in the bank and the Diamond Exchange and all those places to not record their faces, there's still cameras all over the place everywhere you go. So it would be really easy to track them. Anyways, they argue for a bit with Vince saying,
I have been to prison. I didn't like it. In fact, I fucking hated it.
while making crazy fucking eyes the whole time. I hate Vince so much. The character Vince, not you, Vince. I said hate, not want to make love to.
God damn it.
Will tries to wrestle the gun away, and Vince shoots himself in the leg while screaming like a little bitch that he is. Meanwhile, Riley and Hoyt are just sitting there waiting for them this entire time in the getaway van, just parked at the end of the block. Will gets Vince in the van while jostling his leg around as much as humanly possible and says he shot himself in the leg, to which Vince says,
No, you shot me. Ow!
I hate this guy. I hate him so much. I mean, maybe he's just did a really great job of being an unlikable scumbag, but like I fucking hate him so much. I haven't liked him in other things that I've seen him in, so maybe it tracks. Anyways,
Yeah.
Will runs to get the money since they left it by the pistol-whipped guy, and rather than get busted, Hoyt decides it's time to cut and run, leaving Will holding the bag, literally and figuratively. A cop pulls into the alley, and Will stops him by chucking the bag of money at him, then knocks out the other cop before doing some parkour on the hood and knocking out the first cop. I thought that's always like just... trained police officers, you can just throw something at them and that'll just completely incapacitate them. I mean, I guess it was a heavy bag because it's tons of money, but
yeah.
He steals the cop car and the FBI is immediately on his tail. Will tries to shake half the police force and FBI by driving into a parking garage, which seems really dumb for a criminal genius to do.
Yeah, that's one of my things. Like, why is there movies do this a lot? High-speed chase inside of a parking garage. Like, you can't maneuver in a parking garage. You can't go anything above 5 miles an hour. You're going to slam into something.
Yeah. I think it's just easier to rent than a city block.
Yeah, it has to be. Especially at night when they're closed.
Yeah. He manages to evade Harlan thanks to not Thomas Jane driving directly into him like a fucking moron.
See? This is what happens if you're trying to, like, multiple cars chase through a parking garage. You're going to get in a wreck.
This guy Fletcher is just like a bumbling moron the entire movie.
So you got to have somebody to make Harlan look competent.
Yeah, I guess. Harlan, the guy who talks in riddles the whole movie. No good reason. Like the guy who wrote season 2, A True Detective, wrote all this guy's lines. Gum backwards drives up a ramp rather than going down and out of the garage, and Harlan plays bumper cars with him for a bit until Will drives into him and then off the level that he's on, which would have just completely destroyed that police car, but whatever. Reinforced, it's a police car, of course.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess all the other FBI guys and cops had somewhere else to be because only Harlan and Fletcher are in the garage this entire chase scene. Mm-hmm. Which happens a lot in this movie.
It's really hard to block off a parking garage. They have so many entrances and exits and paths of egress.
Yeah, there's no way.
Too many.
Will pops his tires on the way out on some reverse spikes, which again seems really stupid, and drives into an abandoned building across the street with a bunch of dudes hanging around a flaming trash can. That old movie trope.
And a random horse.
Bringing out the dead. Will decides the jig is up and he burns the money since in our messed up legal system, he'll get less time if he's caught with it, or if he isn't caught with it. So, he can play dumb and say that I never took any money. I never had any money. Or, if he was an asshole and not the robber with a heart of gold, he could have blamed it on his partners.
Yeah.
And that they have it all.
Like, I love that there's just no evidence whatsoever of that money residue being in that burn bin. Like, somebody can burn down an entire house and they can find out that accelerant was used somewhere to start the fire, but they couldn't put out a burn bin. They can find a couple of scraps of money.
Well,
even if you
ashes.
You burned a rolled up newspaper, the whole thing would not burn within a few hours.
Right.
And this is like a big giant
brick of plastic
brick of
money.
money. Yeah. And I think it would be giving off some pretty crazy colors and stuff. Dude.
Right.
It's fabric. It's not actually paper. Yeah, it would be pretty easy. And to burn he had 3 big bricks of that money. It would not burn up quick enough for them to not.
It probably even just choked the fire out.
It probably would, yeah. Anyways, he gives himself up and Harlan creams himself over catching his arch nemesis by saying,
My wedding day, the birth of my twins, and now this. Highlights, Will. I'm talking highlights.
Hate him as well. Not Thomas Jane comes out of the abandoned building and is pissed to find that there's no money, and he kicks the duffel bag because it's empty. And Harlan also kind of freaks out a little bit because they didn't really get to, they didn't really get him. He's not going away forever. We cut to 8 years later and see a Nicolas Cage character getting out of jail for the 30th time so far on this show. Amazingly, he hasn't aged a day. Isn't that crazy? Looks exactly the same. Also, for some reason, him walking slowly out of jail is accompanied by spy music that, again, does not fit the scene in the slightest. He catches a bus back to New Orleans where Fletcher and Harlan are waiting for him at the bus station.
It's a good thing they did it, because otherwise he had to take a bus home from jail or from the prison. Arsenal.
Yep. Then he does something a Cage character has done in Con Air, Wild at Heart, and now Stolen. He buys his kid a stuffed animal immediately after getting out of jail in order to make up for having missed a large amount of their childhoods. Exact same thing 3 different times now. We've only done 30 some odd movies. It's happened 3 times, 10% of the movies. This time it's a blue teddy bear monster or something. Meanwhile, the soundtrack is just going fucking nuts for no goddamn reason. Like he's just buying a fucking teddy bear. God damn. Calm down. Fletcher says, "How you doing, Will? Hope you got raped every day."
Well, he's not losing his sex appeal, that's for sure.
Goddamn right.
Before opening the door and revealing that Harlan now dresses like an old man who plays bocce ball in the park for the rest of the film for some fucking reason. They take him to his old home while a mysterious taxi cab follows behind. Whoever could that be? Harlan and Will have a nice heart-to-heart about divorce and being too much of a workaholic and jail not being so bad since Will wasn't raped to death or something, while Harlan looks him up and down sexily. I don't know if you noticed that look, but...
Not as tough as they say, huh?
See, jail wasn't so bad. Huh?
You look good, Will.
You're still looking
Real
good.
good.
You're fit. Yeah. You look exactly the same as the last time I saw you. It's clear that Harlan and Fletcher think Will stashed the money at some point and must still have it somewhere. Then Harlan calls Will a squirrel returning to his hoard, and Will says,
I'm not the squirrel playing with his nuts here, Harlan. I don't have the money.
He says he doesn't have the money, and Harlan tells him Vincent is dead. Oh, that guy? He was so likable. Will is gutted since that unhinged doofus was a real good friend who hated him for listening to music he liked and talking to his only child on the phone. Harlan is a real dick about breaking the news to Will and says, I hope Vince's corpse gets raped every day. Not you, Vince.
Thanks.
Harlan explains that Vince fell on hard times after Will went to prison since Gum was the brains of the operation and Vince had no brains whatsoever.
This is like listening to the worst eulogy ever.
They drop Will at his ex-wife's place, and both Harlan and Fletcher think he's just totally stupid for wanting to see his kids since they're one-dimensional assholes. Harlan says, quote, Grandma Harlan used to say, love makes time pass, but time is certain to make love pass. Then he says, while you were in prison, I hope your daughter got raped every day.
Jesus. Oh, God.
They seem like good guys, though, deep down.
Oh, fuck.
Fletcher tells him Happy Tuesday for no good reason, so we'll know why there's a parade in every shot, I guess.
Mardi Gras.
Yeah. By the way, you're probably never going to hear Happy Fat Tuesday in New Orleans because they usually say Happy Mardi Gras since Mardi Gras means Fat Tuesday. Yeah, generally they don't say Happy Fat Tuesday. They just say it is Fat Tuesday. Happy Mardi Gras. Fletcher and Harlan watch as Will heads to his old home, and Fletcher says, "I'm starting to think you like the guy," while Harlan faps in the back seat. Harlan says, "Admiring someone doesn't mean you like them." I mean, really painting this relationship up as if it's like fucking, I don't know, two characters that are actually interesting, having admiration for each other. They take off. Will rings the doorbell and is greeted by his now 15-year-old daughter, who hates his guts completely because he was gone for 8 years and he's a thief. And apparently they didn't know that. This is kind of like ties back into like Lord of War, where it's like, how do you think he afforded this beautiful place in the middle of New Orleans? Whatever. Just enjoy the spoils. Don't ask where the money came from.
Keep your mouth shut.
Will says she looks just like her mom, and his daughter says her mom is in Shreveport with Peter Lowe. Wait, no, Mr. Loeb. Mr. Loeb. Which it's cool that her mom remarried into Lisa Loeb's family. It's kind of
God damn it.
Allison gives Will a mysterious envelope that came from him that morning that was just left on the mat outside with only his name written on it. Not suspicious at all. Will and his daughter head to a coffee shop while a taxi cab follows close behind. Really, guys, who could that be? Will awkwardly gives her the stuffed animal he bought for her, and she's not super stoked about it. He tries to apologize for being away most of her life through a rehearsed speech that he can't make it through, and that he never wanted to be a criminal. It just kind of happened, You just kind of fall into it.
Just like Magic Man.
Yep. Mm-hmm. She stares at him open mouthed like she just got out of Kristen Stewart acting class as he reads her a note he wrote in prison, which goes, "My friend is a fish. He see me when I sleep." No, wait, that was something else set in New Orleans. I don't know what that was.
I thought you were going to say, you were always like the creature from Battle of the Gargantuans or whatever the fuck.
That's a reference that will just disappear quickly from our brains, I'm sure. Arsenal, that one. Yeah. Also, Will, the genius bank robber, seems somewhat illiterate. His handwriting is chicken scratch, and he has a hard time reading his letter to her. I mean, maybe
that was supposed to be emotion.
Yeah, I thought like maybe they were supposed to convey nervousness, but like based on his handwriting, like he just
can't read it.
He can't seem to read. It's like okay. I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe there's most of the Beatles can't read music, so I don't know. They're geniuses, obviously, but they're lacking some literacy in the thing that they're really great at. He tells her he was a bad man. He's a bad man. Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance. No? But those days are gone, and he's ready to be her father. But she obviously needs some time. The same year, this was the Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, and Stolen.
Same here too.
Barn burners of movies came out same year. She says she's leaving, and he's heartbroken. So he chases her outside where she says she has to go to her therapist since she has abandonment issues. Go figure.
Also, this scene was like, it's obvious they're standing in front of a green screen. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. It just seems something really off about the two of them standing there. Like they're not actually there. It just looks really bizarre.
I told you I'm late.
Late for what?
My shrink session. I go every Tuesday.
The scene outside
didn't really notice that, but yeah.
Rewatch it for the screenshots or whatever. It looks like they're obviously standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah, Vince, you'll have
they
to. They
couldn't film outside of a cafe in New Orleans or something.
Maybe it was weird. A pickup or something in LA or.
Yeah.
That definitely seems plausible with this movie.
Yeah, I'll make sure to grab that shot.
She hails the cab that's been following Will everywhere, and she rudely gives him back the stuffed animal, saying, "I'm not 7 anymore." And he's again crushed. or constipated. I can't really tell from the face he's making.
I think a little bit of both. I heard prison food backs you up.
I mean, like, he conveys it really well in the coffee shop, but right here, it's just kind of like,
so maybe you're right.
Face.
It was a pickup. They shot later, and he just wasn't on his A game.
Yeah. I already cashed that paycheck.
Right. They'd already finished the movie at this point, and he knows it sucks. So
I don't want to be
he's really phoning it in.
Thought it was going to be like Con Air 2, but it wasn't. It's crap. She's whisked away and pops on some Skrillex or whatever the kids were listening to in 2012, and she tunes out the wicked world.
Act 2. Let's get some motivation up in this thing.
Over at a dive bar, we see Riley has taken a job as a bartender in the New Orleans French Quarter, where some married cop who might be that DJ Qualls kid or guy from The New Kid. He kind of looks a lot like him. From the shadows,
it's like a fatter, older version of that kid.
Yeah. Although I don't think DJ Qualls could ever get fat. I think that guy has like a genetic thing where he's always going to be skinny. From the shadows, Will asks her how she managed not to age a day in 8 years. And I'm guessing she's wondering the same thing since he's dressed and looks exactly the same as he did the last time she saw him.
They just did not try at all on the time jump. Just no effort put into it. At least her hair is a little different, but it's like she had
short, right?
Well, she had like a beanie on in the first scene.
Yeah, like
so they just covered her hair.
Yeah.
Probably was all shot concurrently. Like the original, like the 8 years ago and now. All shot at the same time.
She pours him a shot of tequila after we shoehorn in some sexual tension between the two of them. And she tells him she took a job in a cop bar so she doesn't go back to the wrong. That's how she says it.
Yeah, well, it's a good way to guarantee I don't go back to wrong.
Back to wrong?
Yeah. Self-restraint was never my strong suit.
Because that's how humans speak. Riley says she's honored to be his first stop after jail, and he says, actually, Allison was his first. She asks how Allison is, and he says, none is honored. Womp womp. She thanks him for never giving up her name to the police and says she owes him. Will says he's looking for Hoyt since he took off seconds from all of them being millionaires and left Will to the cops. She also says Vince is dead, and when Will asks who killed him, she says he was hanging out with a sketchy crowd trying to find the next Will. Someone to do all the planning and thinking for him while he just jizzes in his pants looking at gold bars.
He's the muscle.
Yeah, sure.
Football.
Yeah.
He played football, man.
I don't know what else he would add to the crew.
I was just thinking, what happened to the stuffed animal? Did he just throw it away after?
He bins it.
Yeah, probably. Because he doesn't seem to have it anymore after this. Right?
Threw it in the gutter.
Just like the bunny.
Just like the bunny. Suddenly, the envelope left for Will starts ringing. He answers the phone, and you never guess who's on the other line. It's Vince. Not me. The other guy. And he's back from the dead. Will is stoked that his old pal is still alive. Like, a little too stoked. Like he's been, thinking about him a lot in jail late at night.
Still got that hole in your leg?
I had to do dirty things in jail.
Get freaky with it.
Thought about those gold bars every day I was in jail. It's not all I thought about the whole time.
He says,
Hallelujah, man, you're alive. Shit, you know what? Everybody's telling me you're dead.
Where are you? Can we meet? How are you? Well, slapping the bar top.
He's just so enthusiastic. I mean, I guess, he did think that he was dead 2 seconds ago, but
right.
It's just weird. Just weirdly over the top. Doesn't seem to fit with the character at all.
No, not at all. Especially since the last time that they were interacting with each other. It wasn't exactly the best interaction.
Yeah, it didn't go great.
We cut to Vince, who is now even dumber looking somehow. He's sporting Kurt Cobain's hair, has 2 black eyes, a Nelly Band-Aid on his cheek, and he coughs every other sentence. He tells Will the years have not been kind to him, and he's more broke than a dead dick dog. Then his tone shifts, and it's revealed that he's a cab driver. Wait, So he can't be.
He's a cab
Oh
driver.
my god!
He was following him this whole time.
Oh my God.
He still
Can't
loves
believe it.
Will.
They dropped the coughing thing pretty quickly after
Like
this.
right
he
after
kinda
this.
coughing nonstop, and then he's never coughs again. The rest
Yeah,
of
it's
the
like
movie.
what's he supposed to have, like cancer or something?
I think
Or-
that's what we're supposed to be
coughing
left
is
with.
movie
It's
code
like-
for cancer. Oh,
yeah. I think we're supposed to be tipped off that this is, his last ditch effort to try and have some form of life,
yeah.
but at the same
But like,
time,
if
he's just going to
dying, why does
die.
he care?
Yeah, and at
That's
the
what I
end, he
always
just
wondered.
kind of just tries to kill Will and his daughter anyway. So it's like,
Yeah, like just make it about revenge because he's dying and he wants to take them out.
yeah.
Not like about getting a bunch of money that he can enjoy before he dies. I don't know. It just
But he's
the
a bank
motivation
robber,
seems weird.
dude. He's got to, we
He's
got to have those
driven by
bank
money.
robber things stolen. Things need to be stolen in this movie.
Well, that's right, guys. He was the driver of that cab this whole time. He says he's been waiting 8 years for revenge and that getting shot in the leg the night of the robbery ruined his life. But you didn't expect any of that stupid shit with the guy shooting himself in the leg to end up being the entire premise of the movie. Did you? Because I sure fucking didn't. Vince says he
that forgettable throwaway scene was the whole premise of the whole movie.
That's the whole premise, dude.
Cool.
Vince says he wants his share of the money they stole that night, and Will says there is no cash since he burned it. So Vince says,
No, stop it.
like a teenage girl on the phone talking about boys.
No, stop it.
Oh, that is how he delivers. Man, he really just fucking coasted through this. Then, you're not going to believe it, guys. Allison is in the backseat of the cab. She hasn't heard a single word of the conversation since she's listening to the music. Teenagers.
We all know how soundproof those shitty plastic earbuds are.
Those shitty old, like, Gen 1 Apple earbuds were.
Can't hear a bit of this lunatic talking at full volume to obviously her dad.
Vince reveals to Will he has his little girl and he'll only get her back if he gets his share of the money. Will says, if you touch her, I'll take you down to the levee and kick your fucking ass. Vince hangs up on him. Smart. And we see that Fletcher and his partner are watching him from a distance. Must be a slow day at the bureau, I guess. They got nothing
Wait
better to
8
do.
years just to spend every day watching Will again.
This movie's got a lot of homoerotic
Instead of trying to track
undertones.
down everybody else from his crew, one of which works at a cop bar.
I'm guessing that they already vetted everybody else out and they haven't done anything suspicious in the last 8 years. So
They obviously none
I
of them
guess that's
have
true.
a dollar between the three of them. So
Although they said Vincent was like getting in with the bad crowd. So if they
Yeah.
were following him, they probably would have caught on some of that. But whatever.
then
Yeah.
he died. And none of them ever knew where the money was, or none of them knew that he burned the money.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, well, anyways, they head after him on foot for some reason, and he seems to know they're following him, so he tries to shake them for some reason, even though he's headed to the FBI 3 minutes from now. In the cab, Allison realizes something is up when Vincent drives the cab into a parachute factory or something. Like fucking some wacky, random, weird, bizarre warehouse full of clown shit.
Some warehouse from Blade Runner or something.
That's where he lives now. So props from his failed heists he's done over the last 8 years. It's like Wile E. Coyote.
I thought I saw some stuff that said Acme on it. He grabs a needle with some nondescript blue substance in it, and she starts freaking out. It's revealed to us that Vincent has a fake leg, so I guess all that Jocelyn Will did to his leg ended up being a bad thing. I mean, I think that's probably the most realistic thing of this movie is, typically when you get shot, it doesn't always, it's not like the movies where it ends very, very well for people.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah, I
where
doubt
he
he
shot
got,
himself in
like-
the leg, I'm sure it was pretty devastating.
I doubt he got proper medical care.
He shot his own leg at point blank range. So it must have just shattered the bone. Probably
Yeah.
went through the other side.
Probably
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, blew out a ton of artery or like an artery and some veins. Vince chews the fuck out of the scenery while telling Allison through rolled up windows that he's got a sickness and that her father abandoned him in his time of need. And she and he are kindred spirits since they were both abandoned by William Montgomery, or Will. I think William sounds more fancy. How exactly did he abandon him? Oh, I don't know. By going to prison since he left in the getaway car. Yeah, that's right. They abandoned Will, but Will abandoned him.
Yeah, Will should be mad at all of them.
Left me.
You fucking left me, man.
Meanwhile, Allison is hearing
Yeah, exactly.
through the rolled up windows.
And she still has her earbuds in.
What's this asshole want? Just take me to the therapist. I'm not giving you a tip, asshole.
This is the first time I've been taken to a creepy warehouse and demanded of things. Anyways, we see not Thomas Jane and his partner getting attacked by Mardi Gras partygoers. Like that scene where Stryker is fighting off the Hare Krishna in the airplane.
I thought of that too. I'm waiting to start fucking socking all of them as they come up to put beads on them.
Oh, God, that's a great comparison.
I love you too, man. You don't got these It's not us.
Excuse me, sir, would you... Donation to the Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus? Oh!
Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism?
Yeah. Pretty identical.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like jumping on his, like, around his neck
Around
and
his
stuff.
neck.
Like, what the hell, dude?
Will gets another call from Vincent where he answers by saying,
God.
Will says he can get Vince the money and says it's in Tuscaloosa, right?
Yep.
It's in Tuscaloosa with his lawyer in a trust. Remember that movie, The Trust?
He
Way better than
avoids the FBI so that he can take this phone and put it on a train to Tuscaloosa so that Vince tracks that and doesn't track him going to the FBI, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems
I
like he
guess.
could have just told the FBI guys that right then. I don't know.
Or, yeah, he could have
That's
been
one
like,
of my
hey,
questions.
you're
Why
not
you
going to
just
believe
cooperate
me.
with the FBI.
Yeah. You're not going to believe me because I'm a criminal. Listen to this.
Here, let me
Vince
put
calls
this
him
guy on
back.
speakerphone
Yeah,
for
exactly.
a second.
Jesus Christ.
These guys still wouldn't believe him because they're dickwads. all
And they're
movie.
following him, so it's not like he has to go to the FBI field office to
I know.
talk to him. They could just like meet him at a Starbucks on the street.
Well, you know, he wants to talk to Harlan and not moron Fletcher, I guess.
Vince says Will has 12 hours. He'll be tracking the phone, and if he misses a single phone call or doesn't pick it up within 8 rings, he'll kill Allison. He also says that this is his last chance to dance. So it's implied that he's dying. And he has 2 left feet now. Get it? Because he's got 1 fake leg.
I got 1 left foot. By definition.
I mean, if maybe he got like a left
That joke
foot
doesn't work.
for his right leg.
It doesn't. He's just got a stick. He doesn't have a foot. It's just like a little.
It's one of those pogo sticks, those athletic legs. Yeah.
He was trying to make that, I've got 2 left feet because
Yeah,
I can't
I know.
dance. Yeah, that
can't
whole
dance,
thing.
yeah.
But
I know what the scriptwriter was doing, but it doesn't make sense.
And Will doesn't
got
know that he has
the T-800 from Terminator. leg.
What's that sound in the background, Vince? Nothing. Vince hangs up, and the worst FBI agents ever make themselves incredibly easy to spot. So Will puts on a Mardi Gras mask and disappears completely, I guess. Just
Although he's
blends
like,
right in.
Isn't he wearing a suit still?
He looks exactly the same,
Didn't
just
seem
wearing
like
a stupid
There's
mask.
a lot of people wearing suits wandering around in Mardi Gras. Yeah. Still would
Suddenly
stick out.
Fletcher's like flipping masks off of like children and stuff.
Is
Where'd he go, Will?
Is
that Will?
Bitch.
Oh my God. Where'd he go?
Vince sprays a bunch of foam in his trunk and puts some neat glow in the dark stars in there. So I guess Allison feels more comfortable, but they're not going to light up because they're in the fucking dark.
Also, they'd stop glowing after like
Yeah.
A couple minutes.
Yeah. What the
I guess
fuck?
it's to explain why there's light in the trunk when we see her.
I guess.
Why would they go to that length of verisimilitude with the rest of this film?
Meanwhile,
Just
Will
to make him
runs-
more creepy, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. It was, whatever. Meanwhile, Will runs something he does in nearly every scene in this movie, by the way, to an Amtrak station. He buys a phone, forwards the info from the BlackBerry he was given in the envelope to it, as well as all the calls it'll receive somehow, and leaves the BlackBerry on a train so it looks like he's on his way to Tuscaloosa.
Guess that's how that works.
Yeah.
I mean, you can forward your phone, even your cell phone, to another phone. But
if it's
more than
on
just
a
like
train
beep, beep,
in the middle of Louisiana
Yeah,
somewhere.
what if it doesn't get reception and then
Yeah.
it's because it can't get through to him, so he just kills Allison?
I mean, I guess that's a risk he was willing to take.
Immediately, like
Immediately.
5 seconds after
Also,
getting
like-
the first call.
I know that security at Amtrak isn't as tight as like the airport, but I still don't think you can just like go buy a phone, then walk through onto a train, drop something off, and then leave.
Sadly, I think you could.
Yeah,
I've
think
been on
so.
trains a lot lately. It's you're really risking your life getting on a fucking train these days.
Yeah, apparently.
That's one thing I noticed when I was in Italy. It was like there was no security at all getting onto these trains. And it was like days after some terrorist attack had just happened.
wow.
And I was like, okay, so anybody could just walk onto this train with a suitcase full of C4 or something and nobody would be the wiser. It'd just be totally easy.
Why do you think?
And Amtrak seems to be the same way. It's like you just wander right on. It's nothing like
There's
the
a
airport.
little more security now,
Alright.
but not much. I mean, really not much.
Yeah. So they come around and check your ticket when you get on the
When you
train.
get on
I
the
know
train.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. By then, it's too late.
Yeah.
Anyways,
But they definitely don't check you for explosives or anything like that.
I think they figure if you're traveling on a train,
What's the
you're
worst
just
that could happen?
one step above bus riders. So
You're just gonna blow up some part of a flyover state. Who cares? Might be in Ohio. They don't care when an entire train destroys an entire town in Ohio.
I guess that's true.
So,
They figure just trains carrying chemicals would do more damage to the country than somebody on an Amtrak.
I will say when I went from London to Paris, they did have security on that. So they don't want you blowing up that tube that's underneath the English
Plus,
channel.
London's had a ton of bombings. They had a ton of bus bombings, and even I know in Spain the security has got a lot stricter because there was a period where there was like a bomb going off. Felt like almost every other month in Madrid.
Yeah.
So not in America, baby.
So I think it depends. Depends.
Yeah. Well, Allison wakes up in the trunk of the cab while Vince drives around making himself as conspicuous as possible by slamming on the horn in gridlock Mardi Gras traffic.
I think I asked it at some point in here, but like, why does he even drive around? Why didn't he just stay put? Why does he feel the need to put her in the
still
trunk
doing
and
his
drive
job.
around?
yeah, maybe so Will can't find him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He's not doing his job though, because like the Australian guy tries to get in and he shoos him away, and he never picks up
Maybe
anybody
because
else.
he's like on the clock, like he still has to. It would be suspicious if he wasn't at least driving around because he's got his dispatch he has to report into.
He didn't think ahead to try and get that day off.
He's not great at planning. He needs an idea guy.
Yes.
He's the idea guy. He needs the planner.
Will heads straight to the FBI and tells Harlan the whole story, but Harlan doesn't believe him because he's terrible at his job. Will admits that he burned the cash and begs Harlan for his help, but he calls Will a thief, a crook, and a scumbag, but says he's a very clever tree frog. As you do. Must be a southern
Regional
thing.
dialect.
Yeah.
You're a very clever tree frog.
He
He
theorizes.
barks at him.
He theorizes Will concocted this whole story to show Harlan that he no longer has the money and send the FBI all over town looking for a ghost while Will goes and finds the money he stashed. Actually, he says, you can dig up the dough and jump onto a cigarette boat and zip down to the Bahamas where you can sip rum for the rest of your days and listen to classic rock played by bands with muscular guitars and dead drummers. I don't know about you guys, but I sure do love muscular guitars.
I thought I misheard it.
No.
Guitarists, muscular guitarists.
Nope.
No, muscular guitars, like metal guitars.
Yeah.
But he's famous for listening to Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Everybody knows that they're the metalist of metal bands.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty hard.
Born on a bayou.
I ain't no fortunate one.
The whole time Harlan smirks at Will like a dick, and Will squirms around in his seat since I'm guessing Nicolas Cage was just as disgusted by the writing as we are. Harlan shows Will Vincent's file saying that he was chopped into pieces and burned, but they were able to match his prints. God only. Only if. I thought this was a nice homage when Harlan's like, look, dead. He's never coming back. Bad Lieutenant.
Just stares at him from the end.
Will
really trying to focus.
Will reiterates that Vincent faked his own death and again begs for his help. Harlan tells him to fuck off, and not Thomas Jane escorts him from the building, but since Fletcher is a bumbling moron, Will is able to beat the shit out of him and his partner in an elevator, steal his key card, and seconds later is able to pull up Vincent's file again. He finds Hoyt's address and manages to escape the building before the FBI even know what's happening. Yeah.
You know how elevators just stop on floors and stay there for...
No one's using the elevators in this building.
Yeah.
Yeah, the FBI isn't using the elevators.
They use the stairs. It's good for their cardio. They got to get their steps in.
Yeah,
They don't notice a random guy accessing the coworker's computer, the cubicle next to the person they've worked next to for how many years.
Yeah. It's always a fun thing I love in these movies, like in National Treasure when he just shows up with a janitor badge. And it's just like, oh, okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would never, recognize
The security
anybody
guard
who works here.
the janitor.
Yeah, he had the cover. Look, we
Probably the one
knew he was
person
a
who sees
janitor
every
because he had the
day.
coveralls on, the mop, the badge. When he walked in, he's like, Rico, no way. Back in the cab, Vince yells at every random person on the street. Allison pulls out the taxi's brake light, and an overly Australian dude gets in the back of the cab and talks about getting his donger dipped. Vince yells at the guy to get out, but reluctantly agrees to take him while Allison pulls out a bunch of foam in the trunk and pokes a hole through the seat.
Just
That
how
foam
Australians
isn't very
talk.
good.
No.
Yeah, this is how all Australians talk, man.
God damn. Vince gets pissed that the overly Australian dude won't shut up about some pregnant girl who seems interested in him, but
Buggered if I know why, but me Willie's about as lonely as a bandicoot on a burnt ridge.
because he's Australian, you see, that's how they speak. I'm surprised he
So
didn't
they all
mention
talk,
anything
man.
about throwing shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah. Come on, make it more cliche. Let's go.
More.
It's not racist. He's white.
Bugger if I know, Donga.
Talking to some cute Shaylas. Wanting some prego.
Sheila's pregus.
Vince bitches about New Orleans being a shithole descended from French prisoners and psychopaths like him. Vince slams on the brakes, bashes the guy in the face with his elbow, and throws him out on the curb while punching him repeatedly in the face while going on and on about the history of New Orleans.
It's like New Orleans' best tour guide.
Yeah, he actually, he spits some good facts, just not the way you want them delivered.
King Louis sent prisoners here. Shut up.
He peels out, leaving this dude on the side of the road, which will surely end up causing Vince to be busted before we can finish his grand plan of his. Right? No. Wait, never mention again. Like, there's no repercussions from that whatsoever.
Maybe that guy just thought, oh, crikey. Get an authentic American welcome. It's my Australian
Surprised
accent.
he didn't shoot me. Think I'll go get myself a hamburger. It's American. See?
Fuck.
Get my donka dipped.
Apparently, when Vince threw the guy's belongings at the Australian dude's face, he forgot to throw out the guy's phone, which is still in the back seat. We see Allison try to grab it with her fingertips through the back of the seat like 9 hours from now, but Vince slams on the brakes before she could dial 911 and it goes flying.
Like he's just like slowly driving through New Orleans traffic and it's like sliding all over the seat back and forth. Like he's like making hairpin turns.
Like, just fucking weaving in and out of traffic. The FBI retraces Will's footsteps while he was in the building and see that he looked up Hoyt's address, so they send a squad to intercept him. But I guess all that running has done him some good because he's already there. This guy's got marathon speeds. I don't know, or maybe he took a cab. I don't know. Be more likely.
Word for Allison.
We see Hoyt yelling at a dog named Billy in the hallway to shut up and that I hate you and your owner, which is the most relatable thing in this whole film. Will's waiting inside Hoyt's apartment with Hoyt's gun. Will punches him in the face for leaving him behind the night of the robbery, then asks where Vincent is. Hoyt plays dumb for a minute but comes clean when Will threatens to shoot him in the stomach. Hoyt says they just want their share of the money, and Will kicks him off a stool to the ground. Kind of a dick move. Hoyt tells Will Vince is driving around with Allison in the trunk of his cab. Then he says he didn't think taking his daughter was right. And I mean, bad idea to steal from America's greatest bank robber, which is one of the most forced pieces of trailer dialogue I've ever seen shoehorned into any scene in my entire fucking life.
And I gotta be honest with you, Will, because I didn't think the taking of your daughter part was right. I mean, bad idea to steal from America's greatest bank robber.
Oh. Also, how is he America's greatest bank robber? I feel like we missed that part because he was busting the first scene of the movie. They just said he is. Yeah, but he was busting the first scene of the movie, and honestly, didn't really seem that great in the first place. But maybe that's just my interpretation.
Just go with it, man. He's America's greatest bank robber.
Hoyt says after Vincent lost his leg, something changed in him. He said he just felt numb to everything and blames it on Will. No, wait. He says
he blames the leg on you, so he also blames the numb on you.
All the stupid things to hang the premise of a movie on. This has got to be up there with switching faces with a guy to get his brother to tell you where a bomb is located. The FBI shows up and Hoyt gets the jump on Will, knocking the gun out of his hand. They wrestle for a bit while Harlan stands in the hallway wearing his dumbass hat before he says, "Let the squirrels squabble, and then we'll go in after their horde," which is something not even in the top 10 for dumbest lines in this movie. Will gets to the gun on the floor, which somehow flew 10 feet across the room while Hoyt grabs a shotgun he has hidden under a couch. Hoyt wastes his bullets shooting at his own furniture before opening the door for absolutely no reason and is shot to death by the FBI guys. Will jumps out the window to a nearby roof and runs for it while Harlan shoots at him.
Like, why does he pull a gun on the FBI? Like, I guess he just wanted the suicide by FBI. Like,
yeah, he was like, "I'm poor. I got to listen to this dog bark all the
I
time."
Guess. Yeah.
FBI's here. Fuck it.
He's like, "I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of this life.
My OnlyFans isn't doing very well." It just ended. Yeah. I want to see that guy's OnlyFans. Sorry.
Then an FBI guy in camouflage gets the jump on Will, but manages to miss with every shot using an M16. Will falls through a railing to some garbage in the street below, which normally I'd question, but come on, it's New Orleans.
You should put that whole shot in. It's like that Taken shot where it's like 17 cuts as he
jumping
falls
over the fence.
10 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I guess he runs as fast as the Flash because by the time the camo guys walk 6 feet, Will's completely gone. Will continues running like he just got out of those leg straightener things they gave kids with polio back in the 50s down the street before being hit by a cab. The cabbie calls him Tapioca because he's black and Will is white. Since these movies are contractually obligated to insert some first racism for some reason.
Do you think this guy calls every white guy tapioca that he sees in New Orleans?
Yes.
Get out of the way, Tapioca. I mean, he did just like run over the guy.
Yeah.
Piece of shit falling into my car.
Will puts 2 and 2 together that the cab that picked up his daughter was Vince's cab. So he pulls the gun on the cabbie, which makes a clacking noise despite being pulled out of his cloth pocket. I mean, guys just always make those noises. You know, everybody knows that.
I mean, even in
no
the
one's
scene
touching him.
when he pulls the gun and he points it at Hoyt,
It clacks.
it makes the click hammer noise as he's pointing the gun at him, and then he cocks the hammer. Because sound designers don't know what else to do with guns.
I guess.
It's true.
Yeah. It's just, like, they're just sitting in a drawer making that noise all the time. Nobody even touching them.
Vince gets pulled over by a motorcycle cop because his brake light is out and instantly makes himself super suspicious to the cop by asking why he'd pull him over during Mardi Gras while the streets are filled with drunken lunatics. Allison Pounds.
I think this is the same cop from the cop bar.
Is it?
I think so.
We'll find out during the breakdown.
Yeah.
Allison
The one who
Pounds
was hitting on Riley.
You're probably right. They can't afford more. They couldn't afford more than one cop.
You know, that complex character who's hitting on a bartender, even though he's married.
He didn't look like DJ Qualls to me. I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe I'm wrong.
Allison pounds on the trunk and screams for help, but I guess the fabric of the back seat in that cab was super thick or something because the cop never hears her, but does hear the pounding later despite the trunk being lined with foam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
go with it.
The logic here.
Then Vince tells the cop, who definitely would have just let him go with a warning, reminds me of when my father was dying of bone cancer. All day he'd bitch about the nick he got in his chin from shaving that morning. I know what you're thinking. Why would a dying man shave? Then the cop says, well, we're all thinking. No, I wasn't. I wasn't thinking about that at all.
I was thinking, you smell bad. That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking, I need to get away from you because you smell like shit and Jack Daniels. He tells him to go get the tail light fixed, but this annoying as fuck / bad for the sake of being bad but stupid as all hell character screams after the cop as he's walking away.
Because he had tremendous vanity!
The cop then seems to hear the pounding in the trunk and asks Vincent to open it, and as he does, he whips around and shoots the cop in the chest a couple times, then in the head, but no one seems to notice despite there being a crowd of people walking by like a second ago.
Like people would definitely look. Well, there's cop lights pulling over a taxi in an alley.
Yeah. And I know he shoots him with a suppressed pistol, but he's in an alley on old cobble road. I'm guessing the acoustics of that would still be pretty loud. And people are like, what the fuck is that sound?
Yeah, well, that's movie logic, you know.
But it's Mardi Gras,
guns with
so.
Silencers. It's just completely silent.
Yeah. No one notices a guy killing a cop 15 feet away from where they're walking.
Okay. Just completely.
Crazy looking dude with fucking long ass hair and a peg leg. Most suspicious person ever.
No one looks at cop lights on a crowded city.
Yeah.
Not at all. I've been to Mardi Gras, and I could tell you there'd be a crowd of people watching every second of a cop pulling someone over while drunkenly yelling at both the cop and the person getting pulled over.
Yeah, you fuck, man.
Book him, Dano.
What's he saying about vanity? What's he screaming about?
Yeah, tremendous vanity. Can't hear that from the street.
Yeah. Killing a cop in broad daylight in the middle of New Orleans on the busiest day of the year while leaving his body on the side of the road will surely end up causing Vince to be busted before he can finish this grand plan of his, right? No, wait, it's never mentioned again. No repercussions whatsoever. This must be a throwback to what's his face? Creepy dude killing that guy in the market in Dying of the Light. Chekhov.
Yeah. Just throw him in behind a dumpster.
Throw him behind the dumpster. Not
Slit
even
his throat and dump him
to the side of a dumpster.
Milton.
Yeah.
While Vince was killing the cop, Allison managed to jump out of the truck and he spots her booking it down the alley. He jumps in the car and takes off after her with the trunk still open for some reason. Instead of running towards the many huge crowds of people, Allison manages to run to a dead end. And I guess not having a father figure around while she grew up meant she never learned how to climb a fence because she just kind of paws at it and can barely hold herself up. Vince catches right up to her and jabs her in the neck with that blue stuff again. No sweat. He's just got an easy day with this one. Oh, while he's putting her in the trunk, he says he dug up a body, burned it, and chopped off the ends of his fingers to fake his death in case you couldn't figure that brain buster out on your own. Shoehorn more fucking exposition in, I guess.
We have to explain it away somehow, you know?
Yeah.
How did he fake his own death? I can't figure it out.
They said they had fingerprints and everything.
You can see his hand on the wheel without his fingers several times before this.
But in that one shot, he does like this. And they're like, I got no fingers, see? They're missing. Okay.
Just think about how much CGI money they had to put into like him having a fake leg the whole movie.
I don't think they did. I think it's all camera. They probably just had one leg extra. Yeah, I think that's why he has the long hair, because they just put a wig on an extra that actually only has one leg for like wide shots where he's walking around without it. But every other shot, he's just got his leg propped up like behind him, and then the camera hides it.
That makes sense.
Like I think when he's sitting in the chair, he's probably just got his leg tucked into the chair and then a fake leg up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Josh Lucas, who's just awful in this film, ridiculously overacts while saying,
I was a golden boy, dollface. Now I'm a freaking Picasso.
Directly into the camera while spitting all over the place. Thank God this was pre-COVID, dude, because he would have definitely given somebody COVID with how much spit was flying out of him.
Maybe he would have died, though, because he had lung cancer. It would have been awesome.
Yeah.
David Guggenheim wrote this, by the way, in case you forgot, or your eyes have glazed over like the rest of us. Just in case you wanted to know who to hire for your next project, hire David Guggenheim. Better than David Goyer.
Yeah.
Vince tosses Allison back in the trunk and then yells at some kid who flips him off that apparently witnessed the whole thing. I'm sure that kid will tell somebody who will link the guy getting beaten up earlier by a cabbie and the cop being killed while pulling over a cabbie. And this will surely end up causing Vince to be busted before he can finish his grand plan. No, wait, never mind. It's never mentioned again. There's like zero repercussions of his actions in this film.
New Orleans is just like the Wild West, you know.
Apparently.
Nobody would investigate a dead cop in the middle of Mardi Gras.
Back with Will, he asked the cab driver what a GPS is since he's been locked up since 2004. It's plausible. He tells the cabbie to call his dispatcher, and you thought this movie was stupid before? Wait until you meet this dispatch guy. He talks like a guy with a Creole accent who's been repeatedly hit in the head with a crowbar and tries to make jokes with every line. Must have been a producer's friend he owed a favor to or something, because just
I love that
completely
guy.
out of the norm.
I wish he could be in the movie more. The only thing close to entertaining.
True. He talks on the radio about scraping boogers or something out of the back of a cab for a second. Then the cabbie with Will says, I got a question for you. So the dispatcher says,
9 inches and can reload after 14 minutes and a tickle. What else you want to know?
Jesus. He asks if he knows a driver with the most identifiable features imaginable. You know, our boy. Kurt Cobain here, black eyes, missing fingers, a fake leg. And the dispatcher gives them Vince's cab number after the cabbie says Vince has been stealing fare money. No, wait, says,
Wait, are you saying that this creepy, limping bastard be running around sneeching my dough?
It's just the defensive was it offensive coach from the Waterboy? Creole guy that you can't ever understand.
Also the dude from Joe Dirt. You like to see homos naked? No, only with the old man. While all this is going on, Will is driving about 70 miles an hour through a bunch of residential blocks for some reason. The dispatcher gives them Vince's location, which is probably in the opposite direction Will has been racing full speed this whole time. Will drops off the cabbie when the dispatcher gives him Vince's cab medallion number. Will answers with,
hey, that's pal. Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Will answers with thanks, pal, to which the dispatcher says,
Looky here. Did you just turn white on me all of a sudden? Who that is?
You been sneaking my dough?
It's not racist because he's white. It could be a caricature. It's all good fun.
Will drives like a fucking maniac with the cab for no real reason, while the camera zooms in and out on his face, and he almost runs some cars off the road while some spy music plays. Why the fuck not? It's almost as chaotic as the fucking scenes in Bringing Out the Dead, where Scorsese blasts music at you while doing the weird ass fucking
that sped up
footage. Yeah. Back at Hoyt's, Harlan finds a full page of a notebook with Will's daughter and ex-wife's address on it. Fletcher gets a report that someone matching Will's description stole a cab and was sweating the guy about someone missing fingers and a leg, and they head to the location Will was given by the dispatcher.
I just love it's like a whole notebook page.
Yeah, just for like 2 things.
Let me just write that down.
I also love it. Of all the things that Vincent's done, no repercussions. Will hijacks a cab and immediately is fucking knocked on.
Yeah, they don't say anything about the cop that was just murdered in an alley.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Act 3. Time to resolve some shit.
Will stops in traffic since there's a Mardi Gras parade going on, and I guess half the cab drivers in the city forgot about that. He gets out and just starts running on top of other people's cars, like the ending of Wild at Heart, and expecting to not get shot. I mean, this is New Orleans we're talking about.
Dude, if you jumped on somebody's car in New Orleans,
you'd at least get drug off by your ankles and your ass fucking beat.
Yeah.
He spots the cab number Vince is driving and runs on top of people's cars for a good block before catching up to the cab, only to find some other guy driving it. Turns out Vince put the sticker of his cab number on this guy's, and while Will is forcing the cabbie to open his trunk while holding a giant gun on him in full view of a huge crowd during Mardi Gras, the FBI shows up and busts him. They're always like right on the scene as soon as they need to be. Like as soon as the plot needs them to be, they just show up. Even though they're always like one step behind everything that Will's doing. And they don't catch on to anything that Vince is doing until later.
Yeah, till they just instantly figure it out.
Also, they show Vince's cab when he's at the carnival, spoilers, and he has the same cab number. So he didn't change his own cab number. He just put it on somebody else's cab.
Yeah, why
he's
not?
A genius.
He's a genius, man.
In the car with the FBI guys, Will pleads for these cocky agents to help him, but they talk about how if they come back from the dead, it wouldn't be for a daughter killing, it would be to go to a cabaret show. Okay. Another movie that makes the FBI look utterly incompetent. Well, then the movie can't happen if they could do their job.
Yeah, I guess.
Or if Will just decided to cooperate with them and have them, I don't know. Yeah. Like they're still just trying to catch Will, even though all this shit's going on with Vince that they now know about.
He clearly still has the money somewhere.
Right.
Obviously. That's why he's doing all this stuff. He's trying to track down his own money. He doesn't seem to know where it is.
Yeah. That's one of my... I'll get to a couple of questions. Will's phone is conveniently on the dashboard of the car when it rings. Because, cops just take evidence and throw it on the dashboard of their car as they're driving places and taking people in. He says he has to take it, but they won't let him. So he magically dislocates his thumb backwards, slips out of the cuffs, no sweat, and then knocks out the two agents who are in the front seat of the car. The car slams into a barricade and flips upside down, which somehow causes an FBI agent in an SUV following them to drive into a tractor, flipping the whole vehicle forward into a Mardi Gras float. Will answers the phone, which somehow is within reach now that the car just crashed, while getting flipped out of the car while Vince blows gum. Wait, this movie just took a turn. No, hold on. Vince blows bubbles with chewing gum, not blowing gum.
Oh, man. It would have been better if it was the other way.
He
that
snaps,
long hair,
Will snaps his thumb back in place like it's nothing and tells Vince, who no longer has disgusting dirty teeth but instead has pearly whites, that he doesn't have the money. Will runs down an alley half crying as he tells Vince he'll get the money, by going back to wrong. They're going to break bad. I mean, go back to wrong. Will manages,
so he has the phone is on the dashboard, but his gun is just missing from here on out. So they didn't throw that on the dashboard. They put that somewhere safe.
Right. Or he didn't think to grab one off the FBI agents.
No.
Well, he's going to catch the guy who has his daughter kidnapped. Will manages to evade a team of trained FBI agents by sort of just walking around behind a parade float, then jumping on the float, which the guys in it don't seem to mind at all, but it is Mardi Gras, so whatever. He calls Riley and they talk to each other in Swedish because the FBI has the ability to listen to any phone call or CCR on the radio at any time, playing through an iPod. But I guess they lack the ability to understand Swedish. Quick fact, Will and Riley have a brief telephone conversation in Swedish, Malin Ackerman's native language. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, she's Swedish American.
He tells her to meet him in their special place, and we cut to that alleyway Terrence McDonough smoked crack with a prostitute in Bad Lieutenant. No, wait. Riley leaves the bar, even though it seems like she's the only one working there in the middle of the day. And you guessed it, Will runs down the street, doing his best Tom Cruise impression through this whole movie. Will meets Riley at a ferry terminal or something before he tells her Vincent is alive, wants $10 million in 3 hours, has his daughter, and that he's dumb as hell looking now. Will tells her there were gold bars in the vault of the bank they robbed 8 years ago, so I'm sure it's still there in the exact same spot. God knows a bank that was robbed of $10 million wouldn't do anything to upgrade the security or change any part of their system within those 8 years. And just leave all that gold. No, gold just sits in a bank vault. That's what it does.
Yeah. That's the way banks work, dude.
She says his plan is crazy, but he then begs for her help. She reluctantly agrees when Will nearly breaks down crying. The FBI head to the dispatch office of the cab company so we can have more screen time for the producer's cousin. Fletcher and Harlan ask if the dispatcher's name is LaFleur, and he says, "Yes, sir, I am," like a handicapped Creole kid with a lisp. Harlan asks for a picture of the driver Will was looking for, and sure enough, it's Vincent. By the way, the photo of Vince looks exactly the same as he currently does, right down to the Band-Aid on his cheek.
They couldn't use like a photo of him with like different,
short hair,
younger hair, like his hair before when he was 8 years earlier or whatever. I'm assuming he's wearing a wig this whole time, right? Like, it could have just put any other wig on him.
No, that's his real hair.
And he's got this same fucking like black eyes and the
maybe he just looks
Band-Aid
like
on his
shit.
face. He just looks like shit all the time.
He just gets beat up by loan sharks all the time. And
yeah, maybe he's got like
although
some
he
disease.
faked his own death to get away from them, so you would think that he's I don't know, whatever.
I think he would at least like disguise himself a little more with like a beard or something. He pretty much looks like the same guy.
Yeah.
Just stupider.
It's mainly for the audience, so we know that it's not a new character they're trying to introduce.
We're just so dumb. We can't figure that out.
LaFleur says he's never had any problem with this guy who, in 2 years of him working there, which I find impossible to believe given his ridiculously over-the-top anger problem and the fact that he comes off as a fucking maniac even in situations that don't call for it in the slightest. Like killing a cop in broad daylight for pulling him over and saying he needs to get his taillight fixed.
While he's like trying to do this job, like you think he would be as inconspicuous as you possibly can for that day.
Harlan rounds up New Orleans' finest and they peel out of the garage at full speed, even though they have no idea where they're going. Will and Riley go steal some equipment from a construction site that is closed for holiday since it's Mardi Gras, but I guess there's no need for a security guard. Everyone knows that nobody steals things on a holiday, specifically one that's known for a bunch of drunken revelers wandering around in the streets at all hours, doing outrageous shit. Will and Riley take a bunch of equipment into a sewer tunnel in a building that is 6 blocks from the bank. We know the equipment is heavy because both of them keep grunting over and over again when they lift anything. Will pulls out a laser measuring tool of some sort because we have to know he's an expert bank robber somehow. And what better way than to show us with a laser thingy that he's sort of doesn't even like hold it steady. He just sort of like whips it around.
Yeah, he's like
down. Like,
painting a
how is he
picture
getting an
with it.
accurate reading by like moving it back and forth down the fucking hallway?
How are we seeing the laser beam?
It's smoky.
It's smoky in the sewers.
I mean,
Yeah.
it probably would be steamy because sewers.
You think so?
Steamy, decomposing.
Yeah, I guess. New Orleans, it tracks.
Yeah.
It's swampy. Swampy down there.
So, just a quick
Something.
warning to completely suspend your disbelief for this next scene because it's utter nonsense. So, using the laser, he manages to find the exact spot underneath the bank vault where the gold bars are held. I'm guessing because he has it paced out, like he knows exactly how far he needs to go down each tunnel.
Yeah. Which
then
they, I guess, would have measured out when they did the job the first time.
Yeah, and he remembered all of it.
He says he was planning this in his head the whole time he was in jail.
Between fapping to Vincent. He was planning this out.
How are you, man?
So they get to where the gold bars are above them, and they use a thermite torch to cut through the concrete floor underneath the bank vault. And I'm assuming there's like steel through the floor and everything because the melting point of steel. Never mind, we'll get to it.
So I did a little bit of research on these thermite torches, and they can cut pretty well. I mean, they can cut through just about anything, but like, I don't think it would happen this quickly. And I don't know that it would be strong enough to cut through a bank vault.
Yeah.
Because you're cutting through concrete, you're probably cutting through rebar, you're probably cutting through
rebar.
50 or 150 years of New Orleans history up to the bank vault and then through the bank vault.
Like at least there's like a steel reinforced something through the floor and I don't know how hot does a thermite burn? Did you see?
I
didn't look it up.
I didn't look it up, but
steel's melting point, depending on what measure of steel it is anywhere from like 2,000 to 3,000 degrees, and gold melts at 1,948 degrees Fahrenheit. So
let's see. They were able to use thermite to destroy the chemical weapons on Alcatraz. Right. That was their plan on that. So I guess it tracks. You know, we use movie logic here. Thermite can cut through anything.
It could burn up to 4,000 degrees.
Okay. So
4,000 degrees.
So
okay.
Definitely could cut through all of this.
In 5 minutes, though.
Right. While spewing a bunch of John Woo sparks down from the ceiling to show that it's thermite.
Yeah. Wouldn't it cause like irreparable damage to the gold? Because it's destroying the concrete and destroying the
melting
steel.
A bunch of gold through it. Which then all falls down into the same shit water that the gold now falls into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
not
it'd be
to mention
mixed
all the
in,
fumes
maybe.
they're breathing in from burning through all this
I don't know
shit.
how easy it is to filter gold, like crap that gets into gold.
Aren't there flammable gases in sewers a lot of times too?
Yeah,
because
there's a
giant
bunch of
open flames. Anyway, again, we said you have to suspend your disbelief. He melts all the gold in the vault, which falls below into the sewer water where it hardens into piles, and Riley pops them into a duffel bag because they would just be that. I don't know how long it would take for a molten gold, which again is at least 1,948 degrees Fahrenheit, to cool to the point where you could pick it up with your hand and throw it into a duffel bag, but I'm guessing it's more than a couple of seconds.
Yeah. Just basically instantly, as soon as it gets in the water, it's hard. And then she just picks it up, puts it in the duffel bag.
While all this is going on, Harlan expertly deduces exactly what Will is going to do next because the plot needs him to head to Will's location to create tension.
He's like the Rain Man of FBI agents.
Except for when he doesn't.
He's incredibly
need to
dumb,
be for
but
the
also
plot.
can be incredibly smart about certain things.
Yeah. He's like, bank robber. Gold underneath.
Son of a bitch. He's got a thermite torch. We cut back to Will saying they'll have 5 minutes to melt the gold arbitrarily before the alarm goes off, since the torch with the ability to cut through a fucking bank vault will eventually heat up the room above a certain temperature, which turns out to be 106 degrees. I guess.
So wait, is it supposed to heat up Is it detecting the temperature of the room or the
Yeah,
floor?
I'm guessing, and that sets off a fire alarm or something. They have those temperature sensors to tell if there's a fire. But
makes sense.
Again,
but
2,000 degree torch.
Why arbitrarily 106 degrees?
That must be Nigel's right. That must be the temperature that triggers sprinklers or a fire system.
Yeah. It's probably a climate controlled vault. So if something is 106 degrees, there's obviously something going wrong. So it needs to set off the alarm. But it does seem very arbitrary.
Yeah. Maybe it in Celsius, it's like an even number.
Probably.
Well, anyway, this seems really easy. So I wonder why every bank in America isn't robbed like this every single day. 2 people can just pull it off with minimal planning.
If you hack a hole into the bottom of the vault and melts gold in it, like, wouldn't that trigger an alarm? Or I guess they wouldn't think to put anything underneath the vault. Though there would be like a seismic sensor or something.
I think a lot of them do.
If only they had those seismic sensors from The Rock.
The Rock? Yeah, or the one from the door in the trust that will, if you screw up anything, it locks the door permanently.
Or the seismic sensors from National Treasure with the...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Harlan and Fletcher are alerted to a fire alarm at the same bank from the beginning of the film, so they rush right over there with Harlan saying, "That's him!" The amount of mental gymnastics it takes to make any of this plausible at this point is pretty exhausting. I wonder if he's like, "That's it. He hid the money in the bank all along." That's where he's been going.
He really is the world's greatest robber.
He robbed it and put it back, and we didn't even notice, and now he's taking it out again.
Is he
Reminds
fucking
me
David
of
Blaine?
that Key and Peele sketch where he's like, we get jobs at the bank and they give us money, and years from now they won't even know what hit them. Like, we'll have been taking money from them this whole time.
Riley tells Will the alarm must have been triggered, so he says, "I just want to see if I can get a little more gold out of it, like a Batman villain or someone trying to steal some Lucky Charms."
Just want to see if I can get a little more gold out of it.
When Will has enough turd lumps of gold, he shuts off the thermite torch, and they drag the hundreds of pounds of gold worth 6 blocks to their getaway truck.
I pulled up the quick fact on this gold, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it comes up later.
Get to
I did too at this point.
Scene later.
Like, at the beginning, he said one of those ingots was 25.5 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And one of those ingots was worth about $600,000, I think, in my calculations of current gold prices. So,
yeah.
Anyway, Riley had trouble even picking up one lump at a time, let alone a whole duffel bag. Hey, that might be a better name for this show while we're watching movies like Stolen. One lump at a time. Harlan and the FBI managed to get to the bank vault before the bank manager has even opened it to see what triggered the alarm. And of course, Will is already long gone. Oh, and through this entire scene, I think the boss music from Super Metroid mixed with spy music plays loudly over every single frame.
Oh, shit.
What was that music? It was like
David Isham or whatever his name
super dark for some reason, like a dark, spooky theme almost.
Riley and Will load the gold into Riley's truck and they take off towards a ferry. Somehow, magically, the FBI already know exactly where they are and what type of vehicle they're driving, but Harlan tells his men not to arrest them until they get off the ferry. They're boarding because you don't corner a weasel unless you want to get bit. Stupid animal sayings that nobody says.
He's a clever tree frog.
I feel like the writer just he's like, this is how Southern people talk.
He's been watching a lot of National Geographic, and he was like, oh, tree frogs, weasels, squirrels. I like them.
Not Thomas Jane says it only takes 8 minutes to get across the river, but Harlan insists on waiting for strength in numbers since when we get Montgomery, he'll be as red-handed as the boy who put his palm on the gas stove to see how hot it really was. God damn it. Breaking these metaphors. Like stretching them to the point of absolute insanity.
Like how Thomas Jane has not Thomas Jane, has heard this so many times that he like mouths it along with him. Like, who the fuck says this? And to the point of saying it to where the guy already knows what he's going to say. Like,
yeah. Just his dumb sayings. So whatever. I hate this character almost as much as I hate Vince. Character Vince, not you, Vince.
Oh, okay.
I said hate, not want to rape like Gum got raped every day in prison.
Oh, Jesus.
Riley drives off the ferry, and wouldn't you fucking know it, Will has been replaced with an obvious dummy which has a cigarette in his mouth. Will these hilarious hijinks ever cease? Meanwhile, Will is driving to some more stupid spy music, and we cut to an abandoned amusement park where Vince is hanging out with Allison still in the trunk. Vincent pulls her out of the trunk and calls Will. Will says he has his money, and Vince asks if he's listened to Creedence Clearwater before doing the job, and Will says,
No, I didn't listen to CCR. That didn't work out so well the last time, did it?
Vince says, I missed you, old buddy. And Will demands to speak to Allison. She says she's fine, but the overacting lunatic she's with scares her. As Will makes his way to the fairgrounds, Harland asks to look at Vince's GPS records from the last few weeks, and since this is a movie, Fletcher just hands him a file with a bunch of paper in it, which I guess shows the maps of where Vince drove or something. He just had him in these banker boxes.
what are these bank boxes? Are they
they look empty.
It's almost like they cut a scene where they went to Vince's like apartment and pulled up a bunch of shit.
Raided a bunch of stuff out of it. Yeah, that makes sense.
I figured
given what happens just after this, that's the only thing that makes sense.
I figured they were given those files when they went to the
taxi
dispatch
company.
Yeah, when they went and talked to the
But
dispatcher.
they all just left the taxi company immediately. Did they go back? Oh shit, we should go back and get some paper files from them.
Maybe
after they all peeled out, took off, didn't know where they were going.
Fuck.
Like,
we should have gotten some evidence.
Let's go back and talk to that guy.
Oh, we forgot to ask for his GPS.
Although they would have to go to get a judge to give them evidence first, right?
Yes, I guess.
No, it's the FBI, dude. Do what the fuck they want.
He figures out he's at the fairgrounds in seconds flat, and even has a fucking park map of it for some inexplicable reason. This Harlan guy sure is clever when it fits the plot, isn't he?
Let's say all that, like, what? Okay.
It's like Vincent had it and he like circled on it, like, oh, I'm meeting it right next to the elephant ear stand. Right here.
So,
like, some corn dogs.
How did they, why do they have this map? What are these boxes? So they printed out his GPS records and put them in folders and boxes. Like
they had them, immediately.
And they were just had those in the back of the car while they were at the bank.
Maybe the boxes came from Hoyt's place since he was helping him like mastermind this. And
that was what I thought originally, but it was like they never set that up. But I guess it makes sense that Hoyt would just fucking hold on to a park map of that abandoned park, which like, where would he even get a fucking park map from in the first place? If it was abandoned for all that time.
It's like a brochure from the park that he got. It's the map that you get.
I figured Harlan was autistic and he collected maps. And he just happened to have a map of the amusement park.
I remember that. Was looking at a tree frog in a tree, and then I saw a squirrel. You never corner a weasel.
There on our anniversary before she divorced me, because I wouldn't stop obsessing over this guy, this minor bank robber I put in prison.
She caught me more red-handed than a child that put his hand on the stovetop, looking at Will Montgomery's picture every night.
Harlan, your hand is red from jacking off to this guy so much. That reminds me of a saying.
It makes me hotter than Georgia asphalt.
God damn it.
Moister than a Mississippi tree stump.
Will arrives at the fairgrounds to find Pegleg waiting for him. Vince says,
"You look good, Will." Same.
Which is stupid. Will grabs a bag of gold sewer nuggets from the bed of his pickup and hands them over. Like, do you think, why would Vincent just be like, oh, sweet, you gave me the gold, thanks. Like, I wanted money, you jackass. I can't.
What am I supposed to do with this shit?
Take this down to the gold pawn shop and exchange it.
I remember how you liked shiny things, Vincent.
Yeah.
There's literally pieces of shit in this
like
gold.
shit.
What am I supposed to do with this?
I don't know if you guys watch American Dad, but when they were melting all that gold, I couldn't help but think of that running joke that they had with Roger where he shits gold, diamond encrusted gold.
He asks where Allison is, and again Vince says, over a janitor. You piss away 14 years of friendship over an old man janitor? Just in case you forgot that completely forgettable opening sequence that set up this entire movie, that guy Will stopped Vince from murdering like a maniac was a janitor, I guess. Will says this has nothing to do with Allison, and Vince says that in a single act of betrayal we all forgot about, Will destroyed the only thing Vince ever loved, himself. Again, I want to reiterate that this idiot shooting himself in the leg is the entire premise of this hour-and-a-half long movie. Vince kicks over a full gas can, lights a flare, and shoots Will as he runs to try and stop him from setting the cab on fire. Will throws Vince to the ground, and the two of them go round and round for a minute before Vince gets a hold of the flare and sets the cab on fire. Allison bangs on the trunk while Vince slams Will's head into it after playing doctor with the bullet hole in Will's stomach. Guess him getting shot in the stomach explains that super forced line with Hoyt earlier where he says it takes hours to die from a stomach wound. Yeah, set it up. Some solid script writing.
It definitely doesn't take hours. If you get gut shot, you die pretty quick and painfully.
But they've said that in movies many times. So
movies. It's like,
so that's why everybody says
it's
it.
Like every gun makes a hammer cocking sound, even when it doesn't have a hammer. And when you hit somebody on the head, it knocks them out for hours.
Yeah,
true.
Doesn't kill them at
no
all.
No lasting brain damage.
Well, Fletcher might have had some brain damage.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, Will knocks Vince to the ground and Peg Leg catches on fire. Will jumps in the cab and drives it into some water rather than just popping the trunk. Oh, and by the way, he runs over Vince, who is fully engulfed in flames at this point, but is barely burned a few seconds later.
Got a little Freddy Krueger action on his face, a little bit, but not much.
Kind of turns into Jason Voorhees here at the end, and just unkillable.
I'm the Ghost Rider now, bitch.
The water extinguishes most of the cab, but burning gas just floats on top of water, so it wouldn't really put the fire out. It would just sort of disperse it out over the surface of the water. But anyway, it's a movie, so it puts the fire out, most of it.
Yep.
But Will still forgets the trunk's going to be open from a lever inside the car again, so he tries to pry it open with his bare hands. When that genius plan doesn't work, he hits it with his fist, and we see a shot of Vince walking at him with his fake leg like he's a goddamn Terminator for some reason. I'm glad you saw that too, because I thought it too. Like, now we're in the final act of Terminator somehow.
I guess it's the peg leg and the
fire.
Flames behind him. It just looks exactly like that shot from Terminator.
And how he's like still alive even though he got burnt.
Yeah.
Just imagine an exoskeleton instead. Or I guess an endoskeleton. A skeleton. Will continues punching the trunk. Will continues punching the trunk like a moron while his daughter clings to the last pocket of air inside before Vince jumps out of the water and tries to strangle Will with a metal bar. See, again, he's like Jason Voorhees now.
Yeah, it's just like Jason Voorhees, yeah.
They fight for a minute, and Will kicks Vince's leg off, causing Vince to disappear in the water like a duck, while Will uses the metal bar Vince had to try and pry open the trunk. He gets the trunk open, and then he screams like it's the heaviest thing he's ever lifted, even though it's literally just opening a trunk. He pulls Allison out of I think it's because his stomach's been shot, so it hurts.
That was what I thought. But at the same time, it's like it's like literally got like hydraulics opening it for you. So I don't know.
Well, maybe not underwater. Maybe the pressure.
Yeah, true.
It's like a fucking inch underwater.
It's got to be dramatic. There's got to be flames everywhere. He pulls Allison out of the trunk, and the doofus who just won't die pops up to the surface. So Will stabs him with the metal bar, puts him in the trunk of the cab, and screams, "Die!" No, he doesn't do that. But anyway, he slams it in the trunk and the cab slips into crazy deep water that didn't seem to be there 5 seconds ago. It looked like he drove into a little pond in the middle of an amusement park, but now it's the Mariana Trench for some reason.
The Mississippi River is not that thick or not that deep. I guess maybe they drove to like the ocean. That's what we're supposed to be going for here.
I still think they're supposed to be in a pond in the middle of the amusement park, and for some reason,
it's
what it looked like
made for the amusement park.
Yeah,
and it's like they could stand up in it 2 seconds before. They're standing up completely fine.
It's like even the undersea voyage thing at Disneyland's only like 15 feet deep or something.
Yeah.
Just enough for the submarines to go around. Yeah. Why is there a huge pond here? I don't care how stupid all that was. At least we don't have to see that asshole's face anymore. Suddenly, Will is knocking on Death's door on the ground and Allison panics. She can't climb a fence, so she sure as hell doesn't know what to do to save her dad. Harlan and Fletcher show up in the nick of time in a helicopter, because of course they do, and they take the two of them away on the helicopter while Fletcher stays behind. On the helicopter, Harlan says he's not sending Will back to jail, and Will holds his daughter's hand while he closes his eyes. So I don't know where this change of heart comes from Harlan's. Like, just out of nowhere, he's like, I'm not sending him to jail.
As far as I'm concerned, Vince stole all that gold.
Right. Okay.
Which... So Fletcher is on the ground and they just take off. Like,
just leave him. Harlan hates him too. Oh, there's no room for you. Sorry, dude. To get a ride back. He's got to lay down. You really got to get to the hospital. I don't know.
I guess to inspect the scene and all that stuff.
I mean,
maybe.
To be fair, you would want.
Hey, go fish out that body out of the car.
Yeah.
Secure the scene.
I mean, it's a murder scene now.
Go get James Cameron to help get that taxi out of the water.
We cut to a little fake out of Riley and Allison driving through a cemetery, which I guess was on the way to Will's new home in a van down by the river. We see that Will and his daughter now have a great, not super forced relationship, and that Harlan and Fletcher are still watching this guy's every move since 10 pounds of gold that Will stole wasn't recovered. Your tax dollars at work. Harlan definitely faps to a picture of Will before he goes to bed every night. Will finds a big old chunk of gold in the back of Riley's pickup, since I guess the FBI guy forgot to search it when they stopped her with the dummy. She's just sitting right there. Like, that truck would have been an impound and searched over every inch of it. It's just sitting in the bed of the truck. I'm guessing Will had it stashed somewhere and is pretending it was in Riley's truck. This is a whole show that he and her concocted. Who knows or cares at this point, really. It's one thing or the other. It could be lazy script writing, or it could be that he actually set up a scheme to try and get the FBI off his tail.
He's the world's greatest bank robber.
Yeah.
So they say.
Lump of shit gold is going to set him up for life.
The FBI sees that he has the gold and listened to him on a parabolic mic tell Riley his fistful of gold is worth more than $300,000. Quick fact, in the final scene, the characters describe a 10-pound lump of gold as being worth $300,000. If the gold is worth $30,000 per pound, the duffel bag containing $10 million in gold would have weighed almost 340 pounds. Too heavy for the characters to lift and to drag around. Jesus. At the actual February 2012 gold price, the bag would have weighed 400 pounds. Yeah.
I mean, it's Nick Cage, man. He can just...
He played football.
He can do anything. He played football.
That bag wouldn't be able to hold that weight, though.
No.
Probably not, yeah. Just rip along the way. They were 6 blocks away.
Mm-hmm. And they were like exerting themselves just carrying the torch and the laser stuff down there.
Yeah.
They just superhuman drag all this gold. Like, they sort of talk about it at the beginning with how much the gold weighs, but it feels like movies really underestimate how much fucking gold weighs.
Even money, dude. Like, that 10 million in cash they stole, that'd still be pretty fucking heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heavy enough to incapacitate a cop if you throw it at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like basically throwing a big bag of bricks at that cop. That's why he fell to the ground like a helpless invalid.
Harlan, wearing a somehow dumber hat than he normally sports, watches on as Will decides to disappear it in the mud, which is also a code for sex, I think. Will picks up the gold and puts it on a show for the FBI of going to throw it in the river. Fletcher wants him to not throw it so they can bust Will, and Harlan wants him to throw it so they no longer have to keep watching him.
And he loves him so much, and he just wants him to go on the straight and narrow.
Like, I'm pretty sure it's not how it works. If he watches him throw it in the river, they're not just going to, I guess these cops would just ignore it.
He no longer has it, so
yeah. By the rules of law, he didn't take it in the first place if he no longer has it.
Apparently.
Will sits back down at the table with Riley, where she tells him it's stupid to keep it since it'll land him back in jail. So Will stands up and throws the gold into the river. Harlan says,
Oh, thank you, Will. I'll return to my life now.
Which is stupid. Both his line and his life are stupid. Will and Riley cheers a couple of beers, and then they get back to barbecuing because it's about family.
Family.
But then it's revealed to us that Will actually threw a pine cone candle or something that was on the table, and he still actually has the gold just sitting out in the open on the table. I ain't no physics major, but throwing a pine cone versus a 10-pound hunk of gold would, fuck it. Who cares?
I hate this movie.
It was like a decorative candle or something, but like,
was it?
Pretty sure wax floats anyway, so throwing it into the water would have just floated on top. And then they just leave it on the table.
But there was a chair in the way, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on.
Blocked. Come on, dude.
They're completely blocked, and they're just going to take off. Everything's
it's
all
that
cool
other
now.
movie trope of like the sleight of hand where
he
somehow palms a 10-pound bag of gold and replaces it with a pine cone and no one notices.
We saw him throw something, therefore must have been the gold.